Hello and good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope today you're feeling grand and also well yours. Hello there everybody. Today people of the tube, I have this amp to show you. It's rather gorgeous, in a way. We'll get to that in a minute. It does have downsides, but anyway, what is it? I hear you cry from the land of tube. This is a 1977/1978 Vox, and they said Marshall. Great start day. This is a Vox AC30, everybody. Solid state amp from, like I say, 1977, 1978. They only made these things for a year, and then they upgraded them to a different solid state circuit. And I can see why these ones didn't do very well. This one is basically home use only. If you took this to a gig, forget it. You're never going to get heard. Unless you're playing, like, you know, in a room forget it. You're just not going to get hurt. As simple as that. So it's very, very quiet. It is 212 cab. 212 cab. It is a 3-channel. The top panel is exactly the same as a AC30. So it's 3 channels. So you have a Vib Trem Channel, which I'll show you. Normal channel, which I'll show you, but sounds really dull and uninteresting. And a Brilliant channel, which is kind of okay. Great for pedals, though. Then you have like your standard EQ on the Vox AC30 of bass and treble and cut. And the cut dial is, I really think, the shining beacon of light on an AC30. The cut dial does so much to really dial in the tone. It's amazing. I love it. And then you basically got a 3 volumes, so you got volumes for each channel. So it is a 3-channel amp. In the intro jam, I did have the Vib Trem channel, which you can probably hear going boop, 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 boop. Daisy chained with the Brilliant channel, so you can daisy chain this amp, which sounds really cool, and I love it. We have 2 12-inch Fane speakers in this thing. The amp itself is actually 40 watt. It's only 40 watt, and it's just not loud at all. I have another Vox amp here, and also one down here. Down here is the Vox Escort Bass 50, and there is the Lead 50 Escort, and they're 50 watt amps. And again, you couldn't gig them either; they're just too quiet. And again, this thing is just not loud at all. But for home use and for recording and for pedals, oh my god, this is like one of the best amps I've ever plugged into for pedals. On its own, it's toneless. There's literally no tone in this amp. I will show you that in a minute, Pikachu. What we'll do next is we'll plug straight into it, and I'll show you what it sounds like basically on its own. But as soon as you plug pedals into this thing, it springs to life. It gets louder, more character, more tone, more everything. It just sounds gorgeous. No reverb in this amp. Like I say, it's in really good shape inside. When I got it, it was full of spiders. It was basically like a spider hotel. But not anymore. It's been cleaned out and cleaned, and I absolutely love it. And it's just one of those amps that every now and again you plug into and you're just like, this is awesome. And it does one thing really well, which is pedals. Like I say, on its own, meh. It doesn't break up either. It's clean all the way to the top. When you're plugged straight into this thing, you have to run the volume flat out for it to actually have any volume at all. I mean, it's loud flat out, but it's not loud. You know what I mean? It wouldn't stand next to a drummer. Let's put it that way. You're going to get lost. It wouldn't stand next to much, to be honest with you. The Orange Crush amp here would absolutely annihilate it for volume. But it's amazing. Either way, all the capacitors in good condition. It hasn't been modded. The original speakers are in there. Or it's got the original foot switch as well to turn the vibrato or tremolo off. But it's amazing. Anyway, I think that's enough waffle, don't you think, people tube? So, just to recap, 1977, 78, don't know the exact year. They only made this model, though, for a year. Only for 1 year, and it's probably not even 12 months. Before they basically were like, well, let's do it again and upgrade it. And at this point in time, Vox was owned by the Arbiter company, I think. It's not Vox as we know it. It's blue panel top. Anyway, that's enough talking. I'm going to go through the channels now. I'm going to start with the normal channel, let you hear Mr. Toneless. I'm going to go to the vibrato and tremolo channel, let you hear the other toneless channel. And then go to the Brilliant channel, which is kind of almost toneless. But again, this tonelessness really makes this thing shine as soon as you plug pedals into it. I won't be using treble boosters or anything. There is no point. It doesn't get to the edge of breakup. It doesn't do anything. But when you run pedals into it, my god, this thing just comes alive and sounds absolutely amazing. And I love the vibrato in this amp. It's that classic, warm, boom, 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 kind of vibrato of a Vox amp. It sounds absolutely amazing. But it doesn't really do the AC30 thing. If you're after the AC30 thing, this is not the amp for you. But if you're after, like, you know, a nice kind of like Vox amp to run pedals into, this is the one. You know, it just does pedals so well, and also it looks in the classic way, you know, and it is a vintage amplifier. You know, it's set 1977, 78. It's not a new, young thing. It's seen life, as you can see by this humongous tear as well in the grill cover. I can actually get my fingers in there. And again, like I say, it's got the original Fane speakers in it. Absolutely amazing. The Tolex is worn. It's got no handle. It looks amazing. The Vox AC30s are a classic looking amp. Anyway, shut up, Dave, and play something. So again, normal channel, Vib Trem, and brilliant channel on their own. No pedals at this point in time. And then we'll come back. Oh, and also, we're miking up with an SM58 today. So, yes, bit of a difference. So, let's go. Okay, Poochie, I've decided I'm going to show you the channels on room mic and close mic. So, you're going to hear the guitar clacking as well. But the amp is not even, it's barely even peeking out the camera. And I've got it flat out. So, this is the normal channel. Flat out. So I've got it cranked all the way up. It literally can't get any further up if it tried. Okay, so, and this is what it sounds like. Again, toneless. Nothing there. This is it with close mic only. Okay, so basically that's the normal channel that in all fairness, I don't think I'll ever use. It's just dull and lifeless and there's nothing there. And like I say, this amp is not an amp you plug straight into. It's just not. You need pedals. But when you give it pedals, it goes, no! It does. That wasn't very kind. That's Queenie, by the way. She's over there laughing at me because I nearly broke my knee. So anyway, moving on. This is the, hang on a minute. Vibrato Trem. Yeah, Vib Trem. So let's turn the normal channel down. So this is now and again you can hear there's no tone to the amp. It's just lifeless and flat and dull. There's nothing there. The only thing that's making this have any character whatsoever is literally the vibrato. So that's the vibrato mode. Absolutely gorgeous, and I can vary the speed of that. So this is really slow, and this is really, really fast. There isn't a great deal of speed control in it, but it's fine. Normally, if you set it at about 11 o'clock, it sounds really nice. It's got a real cool pulse. And this is the tremolo. So that was vibrato, this is tremolo. It's even darker and duller. There's literally there is no character to this amp whatsoever. But that's why it makes such a great pedal thing. There's literally nothing there. I mean, if you plug straight into it, if you got to a gig and you had no pedals and this is the amp you had to plug into, you're in trouble. And a lot of it. Because this is what you're going to sound like all night. You know, very extraordinarily uninspiring. But again, when we get to pedals, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so that's the Vibrato Trem channel. This is what it sounds like on close mic. Okay, so that's the vibrato tremolo channel, again, flat as a pancake. Basically, if this was an animal, it'd be roadkill. Okay, so moving on to the final channel. Okay, this is the, I've lost volumes. There we are. This is the Brilliant channel. Now, with the Brilliant channel, we actually do have EQ. On the normal channel, you have no EQ options. Not even the cut works on the normal channel, which it actually should do. But it doesn't on this amp, and I don't know why. It just doesn't. And again, it hasn't been modded. I've looked inside. There's no replacement parts in this thing. And it's extraordinarily simple inside. There's nothing in there. So this is the Brilliant channel. This is really the only channel on the amp that actually has any character at all. And it's because you have bass, treble, and the cut dial. So, I'm going to basically just put treble and cut all the way up, and bass is now at 12 o'clock, and it does have a bit of character. If you turn the volume up, Dave. Or it did have character until it doesn't work anymore. Okay, so basically what that was dodgy input number 1, which I'm going to have to go back and clean again. So anyway, it works now, and it's loud. And this one actually does have a sound. I can actually turn down the treble on that, actually. Not that much though. Basically, the dials on the amp don't do anything until basically they're in the final quarter of their turn. So basically you have to turn everything up to 3/4 for anything to happen. And again, usually, I can imagine to a lot of people this would have really annoyed them. But again, this amp is not for straight in. It's just not that kind of amp. This is an amp where you use pedals with it all the time. Anyway, Brilliant channel, although it does sound nice. Brilliant channel does sound great. But it's still flat as a card. You know, it really is. It's not... Let me show you the close mic. So, at least the Brilliant channel has something about it. The normal channel is just really dull and dead. And again, don't really use that channel. I don't think I ever will, but you never know. Never say never. But the Vibrato Trem channel is gorgeous. I love vibrato mode. I'm going to kick that back over. And I do like the Bright channel. The Bright channel is the one that just, like, when it's, every pedal just goes, I belong here. So, like I said, another thing we can do is daisy chain it. So... So now what I've done is I've plugged in the Bright channel to the Vibrato Trem channel. So as I can now roll in the Vibrato channel how much I want and have that effect. I do apologise about peeking out the camera, people, but I just wanted to show you in the room. So I can pretty much talk over top of this. I mean, if I raise my voice, I can get above it. And this is the volumes, basically, if 10's the loudest this goes, that's the volumes on 9. So, you know, basically it's nearly cranked. But again, as soon as you plug pedals into it, the volume does come up and it does get actually surprisingly very loud. Anyway, let me show you this on close mic now. So like I said, this is the Bright channel with the Vibrato Trem channel plugged in as well, daisy chained together. And I've actually plugged into the high impedance of the Bright channel, coming out the low impedance of the Bright channel into the high impedance on the Vib Trem channel. So, this is what it sounds like. Okay, so that was both channels then flat out. I knocked it up the final notch, and that was basically the brightness and the vibrato trem channel flat out. And like I say, it's not very loud. You know, I can talk over it. I mean, if I start hitting it quite hard, it does go loud, but it never breaks up. It's clean all the way to the top. So, people chew. What we're going to do now is we're going to plug my Zoom G6 floorboard into this, and I'm going to show you it with that. Because like I say, once you get pedals into this thing comes alive. So I'm going to leave it daisy chained. I am going to turn down the vibrato mode though. I'm going to turn the vibrato off for the time being. And just like here in the bright channel. So I'm going to run it with the treble all the way up, which again is really weird for me, but I have to do it with this amp because again, it's just toneless otherwise. And I've got the cut dialed back a bit, so the cut's probably trebles about 5 o'clock, cuts about 4 o'clock, no bass, so that's turned all the way off. And I'm just going to plug back in the Zoom, and next thing you'll hear is the presets on the Zoom. So I'll just basically mess around with the Zoom for a bit and let you hear it with pedals, because like I say, this thing just loves pedals. It was built for pedals. And considering it was 1977, 1978, and there wasn't a great deal of pedals at the point in time, it's an amp before its time, people would do. Flat response before it became a thing, many, many years later. Okay, so Vox are ahead of a curve, man. Okay, so anyway, Zoom time. Okay, with the tube. So as soon as I plug in a pedal, this thing comes alive, especially kind of adding like reverb and stuff like that to it. Just sounds immense. I actually had to turn the volume down as well. The volume was actually at 3 o'clock. So, like I say, the controls in this amp are not responsive. Like I say, you have to get them to about 3 o'clock to do anything. And then the last quarter they actually do something. But I really like that. This amp has its own little character and it's really, really cool and I love it. And again, I reckon it sounds amazing with pedals! On its own, it's very dull and lifeless and boring. The Brilliant Channel is quite cool, but most, the Vib Trem Channel and the normal channel are just toneless. There's nothing in there whatsoever. But the Brilliant Channel is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Like I say, this is not an amp you're going to take anywhere to gig. And if you do, you're going to disappear. It's got no cut and no volume to it whatsoever. Like I say, I mean, it's just not a loud amp. It's just not. I don't know. Being 40 watt, it just doesn't match up to the AC30's, 30 watt volume. But I still think the Brilliant Channel has that kind of character to it, though. It still sounds like an AC30 running really, really clean. But it doesn't really do the AC30 thing. Funnily enough, the model after this does. We used to have one actually, an old hat. It's got 3 handles. It's got the usual one handle. Same kind of deal on the volume control. But it's a 100 watt amplifier, that one is. And I remember we had one of these in old hat. And again, it still looks like an AC30, but that thing is deafening. And it does do breakup. And people like Status Quo and Brian May used that model. I did hear Brian May used one of these, and Status Quo used these, but I don't think they did. I think they used the later models that actually did have breakup. This one doesn't. This is totally clean, all the way to the top. And you do find that with these 77, 78 Vox AC30s solid states, they're not very loud. You know, they don't really do breakup. They're just really kind of clean amps, which for the time is really strange. You know, if this was like an early 60s amp, I could kind of understand keeping it as clean as possible. But for the late 70s, where people are wanting more and more and more distortion coming into the 80s, it's a bit of a weird kind of design choice to make. And I can see why they only made it for about a year and then switched to the next model, which does give you breakup and works like an AC30, really. This isn't really... It's AC30 in look and name only. Other than that, it's its own thing. It's a pedal platform. Like I say, it's a flat response pedal platform amp that just sounds mega with anything you plug into it. The pedals just respond to this thing so well. They really do. And the Fane speakers are really, really dark speakers. Like super, super dark. And they just sound immense. They sound really, really cool with this amp. Personally, I think it would sound better with Celestians. It might even give it a little bit more volume. But I'm not modding it. It sounds perfect. This is the way it's supposed to be. And it's the way it's supposed to be. I said that twice. Anyway. But yeah, I can't actually think of anything else to show you people tube. Like I say, it just... These things are awesome pedal things. I say they're great for recording as well, because you get that vibrato trem channel, which no one's ever really... I don't think anyone's ever really got that right. Like, you know, Vox AC30's Vib Trem channels are so distinctive in the way they kind of... I don't know what you'd call the word from. Vroom, 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 vroom. That, and this does that. And I really like that. But there's no pedal that really kind of comes close, or no other amp really that comes close that does that, apart from Vox's. So I really like the fact I've got that. I love the fact, you know, it's been battered and beaten. It's had life. It was full of spiders when I got it. It smells old. Let's put it that way. It does have a very unusual odor to it, people with tube. Like a lot of these old amps do. Like old Marshalls smell a certain way. Old Fenders smell a certain way. Old guitars smell a certain way. Old Voxes smell a certain way. And this one smells like an old Vox amplifier. And probably people at this point in time, he's lost his mind. He's talking about smells. Welcome to Smell Time with Dave Simpson. Today we'll be smelling the gorgeous aromas of a 1977-1978 Vox AC30 solid state amp. Right now I can smell all the clean air coming out from within it. But when we kick this on, it's now dirty air. Anyway, moving out's really weird. Should he be left to his own devices? Never. Anyway, moving along. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video of this AC30 Vib Trem. I hope I hope the sounds came across okay. It sounds immense in the room. It fills the room. It's a big sound. Like I say, two 12-inch speakers. Beastly thing. 40 watts though. I mean, it's literally the quietest 40 watts I've ever heard. But it's not too dissimilar to my other two Vox amplifiers. Like I say, that's a Vox Escort lead, and down here, this is a Vox Escort bass from around the same era, really. I mean, the late 70s amplifiers. I forget. I do think that one's a 77. I can't actually remember, and this one's a 78, but I don't actually know. I can't remember. They're really hard to date, these things. But they're the same kind of like, they've got the blue panel on the top. They've got the same kind of like, feel and Tolex, same kind of handle, same grill cloth. Apart from this one's got the brown Tolex, whereas this has got the black kind of Tolex. But this one does break up. The the Escort lead does have break up. The bass doesn't. So, I don't know, there's something going on. I don't really know. But I love the fact I've got three of these things that, I'm like with solid state amps. I adore these things. I'm basically surrounded by them. But I think there's two valve amps near me. Anyway, what are you on about? Anyway, moving along. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this vid on the AC30 from 1977, 1978. They only made it for a year, probably not even a year, because people wanted gain. These didn't do that. So they had to go back and go, rethink. But again, it's flat response before flat response. Great for pedals. Rules the day, not loud. Cool home amp, cool recording amp, absolutely amazing, and I'm very, very happy to have it. And I got to thank my friend Bob for this amp. So Bob, you're a legend as usual. Thank you very much indeed for this. It's amazing. I love it to bits. And yeah, if you see one of these poor things out in the wild, just give it a chance. Plug a pedal into it and let it know it's loved, because they sound great with pedals. They're not just toneless monsters. Unless you plug straight into them, and then they are. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this vid. If you like the videos I do here, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below, as well as links to my Bandcamp and merch thing, which I can't do anything with. Thanks, Teespring. Yeah, other than that, I'll see you again for another video very soon, people of YouTube. I guarantee you'll probably see this amp again at some point. If I do videos in here, I'm probably going to always plug into this thing, because I really like the way it sounds. And again, it doesn't blast your head off like some amps. It's really nice. Nice home recording amp, like I said. Stop repeating yourself, David. Stop repeating yourself, David. Stop repeating yourself, David. Stop repeating yourself, David. Stop. Goodbye.